Okay. Good Shabbos. We're ready to go. Here we go.
All ready for you.
מי שצופה גם קיבל את אותו?
שאני אחלק אותם?
Thank you. Asa Adonai et Hashemayim Haaretz Shamru B'nei Yisrael et HaShabbat. Someone said you? No. Shabbat vayinafash, Shabbat vayinafash, Shabbat vayinafash, V'shamru b'nei Yisrael et HaShabbat, L'asot et HaShabbat, L'doratum v'ritolam, Birkat Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Amen. L'chaim.
Blessing for our study of Torah.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu la'asot b'divrei Torah. Amen.
Okay, good Shabbos, everyone.
Good Shabbos.
So,
Where'd they
this
get
morning's
that?
going to be a little bit different. We have a guest teacher this morning, and if you were here last night, you know all about it, but if you weren't, we have two very special guests who are with us. First one is, you can see him standing there. We brought him in just to pass out the sheep. He's a professional sheep passer, but now that he's retired, he's got nothing else to do. But Rabbi Arnie Blacko, I've known for many, many years, recently retired from his congregation in New Jersey after over 30 years of service, and he is now leading the Friends of the IMPJ, which is the Israel Movement for Progressive Judaism. Essentially, it is the Israeli movement, the Reform movement in Israel. And the CEO of the Israeli Reform Movement, in other words, the URJ of Israel, who spoke to us and gave the Devar Torah last night, Anna Kislansky, is with us. And it's a great honor now to invite her forward, and she is going to lead us this morning in our Torah study. So please welcome from the IMPJ, Anna Kislansky.
Take the rest of the day off.
So that, oh, my water. Shabbat Shalom, everyone. It's a pleasure being here this morning, and thank you for coming. And we're gonna, I don't know, I feel that there's echo. Is there a volume here that I can turn it down a little? Rabbi? No, it's working, actually. I hear an echo. I don't know. It's good? It's good. Okay, I'll try to get used to it. Maybe. So Boker Tov, everybody. It's a pleasure to spend time here in your community, and we're going to take the next hour to talk about the parasha, B'Shalach, and through the things that we're going to discuss, we're also going to learn about the work that we're doing in the Israeli Reform Movement. I've been the CEO of the IMPJ, the Israel Movement for Reform and Progressive Judaism, since 2021. And before that, I was Deputy Executive Director. So I've been working in the headquarters of the Reform Movement since 2010, since I returned from a shlichut, from being an emissary of the Jewish Agency to the Union for Reform Judaism. So it's been a really interesting and wonderful journey for me, a mission to be serving the Jewish people and especially serving the Israeli Reform Movement. And I hope that the session will be interactive and not just me talking, so feel free to stop me and ask questions. And we have some study sheets and texts that I want us to go through as we talk about the parasha. So in Parashat B'Shalach, there are 4 things happening. First of all, it's the parting of the Red Sea. And the Israelites are going through the Red Sea, and later on they sing Shirat Hayam, the song of the sea. They're grateful. Immediately afterwards, they remember how hard it is to be in the desert, and they begin complaining again, saying that they're hungry. And the water is bitter. It's called Marah, the place. We're going to talk about that. So there's a miracle happening for them again when Moses puts a piece of a tree in the water, and the water becomes drinkable again. And afterwards, there's a war between the Israelites and Amalek, and they're able to eventually get over the war thanks to Moses again, a miracle, handing his hands up all the way and getting some help so that he can continue hold his hands up. And this is the main stories of the parasha. We're not going to talk about everything, but I want us to, first of all, talk about the parting of the Red Sea. So in verse 22 in Exodus 14, there's a quote, you can look at the study sheets, that says, "And the children of Israel went into the midst of the sea upon the dry ground, and the waters were a wall unto them on their right hand and on their left." And there's a poem that is associated with that particular miracle that was written by the Israeli poet Yehuda Amichai. And Yehuda, if anyone could read it, it's going to be better for me instead of, I love practicing my English, but I would love a volunteer to read the poem from Amichai. Thank you.
From a distance, everything looked like a miracle, but up close, even a miracle doesn't appear so. Even someone who crossed the Red Sea when it split only saw the sweaty back of the one in front of him and the motion of his big legs, and at most a hurried glance to the side. Fish of many colors in a wall of water, like a marine observatory behind walls of glass.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I want to ask you if you identify with the feeling that sometimes you realize, or we realize, that something extraordinary happens to us, a miracle, but we realize that only in a perspective. And I see people nodding, but I would love for you to relate to that, if anyone wants to say anything about it in particular. Yes, and your name, please. I'm not sure, I won't remember everyone's names, but it would be nicer for me to know your name.
My name is Eileen.
Eileen.
So something maybe about miracles is they happen little by little, so in real time, that's maybe why I didn't realize miracles happen. It was little by little, day by day, and I'm talking about someone in the family who was very, very sick. And it was a lot of prayer, it was everything we could do, it was minute by minute, by day, by week by week, and then year by year. And then we all look back on it now and say, what an amazing miracle. When you look at it in hindsight, because when you're going through it, like the going through the Red Sea, it's step by step. You don't really realize it until you look back.
Right, right. Anyone else wants to relate to a miracle? Yes?
I think with the miracle now, which is the amount of support that Israel got from the U.S. recently. Miracle.
So you're talking about, for instance, what happened with Iran in the summer, right? Of how, how the U.S. was helping Israel in bombing Iran. Okay, that's a miracle. Another thought? Yes, your name?
I'm looking at the wording, and if you're just looking at the person in front of you and the sweaty back, and you're not looking up and you're not looking for a larger context, all you'll see is what's right in front of you. So to me, this brings into perspective. You have to have perspective, and you get to choose to look up and see a larger context.
Right, right. So I'm just going to move us forward a little bit. So I think that the Israelites realized that there was a miracle happening to them, because immediately afterwards, Moses says, I will sing unto God, Ashir el Adonai ki ga'o ga'a, and they realized that something extraordinary happened to them, and they stop and absorb it, and they sing together, and we're going to talk about that. When I think about, when I relate to the reality in Israel, I was talking about it last night. We Israelis were in a situation of war for 2 years, and during those 2 years, we had these moments of miracle, right? We had, whenever the hostages have returned, whenever we were able, to finally leave our bomb shelters and try to go back to normalcy after Iran attacked us. And And when I think about the work of our movement, I'm going to say in a minute a few words about that. We were really grateful for those moments. But the reality is, you know, once you return to normal pace, or I don't know if you can talk about Israeli reality as normal, then, you know, we continue seeing everyone's sweaty back and not necessarily appreciate it. It's also hard, I want to say, that after 2 years of constant tension, now in retrospective, we're looking back, I'm looking back, you know, at what happened with what our movement did, and I'm saying to myself, wow, there's a miracle that occurred, but there's also a lot of trauma and a lot of things that need to be fixed and met. I want to say that our movement has 54 congregations all over Israel. Out of the 54 congregations, 27 were established in the past 15 years. So we're a very, very young movement, and the movement itself is the one that's helping get the congregations off the ground, because there's discrimination against non-Orthodox streams of Judaism. Then we're the ones who are initiating and building the congregations and building our presence on the ground in Israel. Out of the 27 new congregations that we established in the past 15 years, 12 are in the periphery, in rural municipalities around Israel. And out of those 12, we have 3 congregations that are on the borders. 2 in the far north, 1 in the Western Galilee, in a regional municipality, in a rural municipality called Mate Asher. Another one is in the town of Kiryat Shmona, very close to the border with Lebanon. And another congregation in the Gaza envelope, it's called Sha'ar HaNegev region, serving the kibbutzim. So when October 7th happened, we already had the infrastructure on the ground to immediately respond, both in the Gaza envelope area and in the far north. The 2 rabbis serving the congregations in the north were evacuated from their homes because they live in settlements that are very close to the border with Lebanon, and it wasn't safe for them to stay there. So while trying to take care of themselves, they were also taking care of their congregants that were spread around the country and trying to bring healing and spiritual support to all the displaced people from the north. And the rabbi in the Gaza envelope area, she doesn't live in that area, she commutes, but again, she was driving around the country in her car and trying to do whatever she can to help the displaced people from the Gaza envelope. So, and our movement, as a movement, we did whatever we can. We provided resources to those congregations. We have a humanitarian aid arm called Keren Bechavod, who provided resources to people who were displaced. And we try to do whatever we can in order to respond to the really hard things that happened to everyone around Israel. We knew the families of the hostages because, again, from Kibbutz Kfar Aza, the names of the kibbutzim that you heard in the news, Kfar Aza and Nachal Oz and Mefalsim, there were people who were killed or kidnapped that our rabbi personally knew and we knew. The mayor of that region in the Gaza envelope, Ophir Liebstein, was murdered. He was a wonderful friend of our movement. I met him 2 weeks before. That Rosh Hashanah of 2023, and when we met, he was talking about giving land allocation to a synagogue that we wanted to build for the residents of the Gaza envelope. I'm just like taking a pause to explain to you that in Israel, most of our congregations don't own their own buildings. You have an amazing campus here, an amazing place. We have to struggle and fight in order to get land allocation from the local municipalities to give us land in order to build synagogues. So out of the 54 congregations that we have, only 15 have their own buildings, and everybody else is, you know, like the Israelites in the desert. Every time they have services at another place, sometimes it's in homes, and sometimes it's renting a temporary space. So when Ophir Liebstein, our friend, Zichro Livracha, said to us, I want to give you a land in order for you to build a synagogue, it meant a lot. And it was devastating. And he always used to say, in most of the towns and cities in Israel, there are Orthodox rabbis that are being paid by the state. In the regional municipality of Sha'ar HaNegev and in other regional municipalities, after winning a historic court case in 2012, where we, with the help of IRAC, which is our advocacy arm, a public arm, we won the court case, and the Supreme Court of Israel actually made the state for the first time to pay for a salary of a particular rabbi in the regional municipality of Gezer. So after that, it was a precedent, and we were able to get the state pay for at least the majority, the part of the major part of the salary of the rabbis in regional municipalities. And Ophir used to say about Yael Vorgan, he used to say, we don't have an Orthodox rabbi. We don't need one. We have a rabbi. Our rabbi is Yael Vorgan, the Reform rabbi of the Sha'ar HaNegev region. And also as a movement that cares about what's happening in Israel, we immediately said that we needed to advocate and do whatever we can for the return of the hostages. So every Shabbat, we held Havdalah services at Hosted Square. Anyone been to Israel since October 23? Any? Beautiful, thank you. And any of you been to Hosted Square? Okay. So every Saturday night at Hosted Square in Tel Aviv, there was a big rally for the release of the hostages, and thousands of Israelis joined the rally. We conducted a Havdalah service right before the rally began, and many Israelis joined the rally, that wanted to join the rally became especially earlier in order to attend our Havdalot, because everyone, we needed, all of us Israelis, we needed this community experience. No matter if they belonged to a Reform synagogue or not, we had hundreds of participants join our Havdalah services every Saturday night. And we also had hostage families come and speak at our Havdalot. People were crying together, were actually expecting that. And we finished the Havdalot once all the rallies finished. Once the rallies finished in Israel about a few months ago, when there was only one hostage that was left in Gaza, Ran Gvili, Zichro Livracha, and he just returned. What a miracle. There are no hostages in Gaza anymore. Then we also stopped our Havdalot. So I want to say that now, in retrospective, all that we were doing, it looks like a miracle, but there's a lot to work around it. And right now, we're not only looking at the miracle that happened to us. We're looking into the rebuilding, and I think that this is a good when we're talking about the segue about the next steps that our movement needs to take in order to rebuild Israel. This is a great segue to talk about the communities and how they all are working together. So there is a verse about what Miriam did. Then Miriam the prophet, Aaron's sister, took a timbrel in her hand, and all the women followed her with timbrels and dancing. Miriam sang to them, "Sing to the Lord, for he is highly exalted. Both horse and driver he has hurled into the sea." So I want to ask you, what is the difference between what Moses and how Moses mobilized the people and how Miriam mobilized the people to sing? There are two. Moses says, "I will sing to the Lord." Miriam says, "Sing to the Lord." And yes, your name?
Nancy.
Nancy.
Miriam includes everyone, whereas Moses, being the leader, is focused narrowly. Miriam is expanding it so that the miracle encompasses all of them. They're all part of the miracle. They're all part of creating the miracle. They're all participating in it, and it will be in their souls as well, instead of just in Moses's.
Wonderful. Anyone else? Yes.
Bill.
Bill.
In one case, they are looking and saying, it's the Lord that helped us. In the other case, they're looking just at the man in front of them and
Right.
saying, oh, his sweaty pants. And they're concerned about the immediate situation. And they don't understand, or they don't have a comprehension of what's going on in the big picture.
Right, right.
And Miriam brings them together in song and dance, of course.
Right, right.
In the Midrash speaks to the aspect of Miriam's prophecy that is clearly different from Moses's, in the sense that the women brought instruments with in anticipation of this moment.
Right.
From even before.
So they could predict, the women could predict, right? What's going to happen. Yeah, it's interesting. Yes.
In the first case, when you say Moses says, I will sing to the Lord, for he has triumphed gloriously. So it's because of what the Lord did that he's singing to the Lord. In Miriam's case, she just says, sing to the Lord, for he is highly exalted, because he is what he is, and therefore we should sing to him.
Right,
So it's a difference of perspective.
right.
I think it's very Kabbalistic, the idea of singing to the Lord as an individual versus as a communal group. And it points to that Kabbalistic tradition for all of our writings.
Right. So it's pretty long. So we're not gonna read the text, but I brought a text that was written actually by one of our women rabbis, Rabbi Tamar Duvdevani from HUC in Jerusalem. We have a branch of HUC, of the Hebrew Union College, training Israeli rabbis in Jerusalem. And Tamar Duvdevani says that the difference between I will sing, which is, she exactly speaks about that is individual. What Moses says, he mobilizes everybody, and everybody sings, but as individuals. I will sing to the Lord. And Miriam has a more of a communal perspective, saying, let's sing to the Lord together. This is exactly captured in the text that Tamar Duvdevani brought. Yes, your name?
Donald.
Donald.
I was writing a point. People at home can't listen to our questions unless we have those microphones.
Oh, okay.
We need to start passing the microphones around.
Okay.
People who are talking.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
It's okay, but that's good.
I think the way Moses handled it versus Miriam is influenced by their experience with God. Moses was the single communicator, as we all know. He's the only one that spoke directly with God and God back to him. Miriam didn't have that, and so they related to God in the way they knew.
Right.
I want to mention something that might not be directly answering your question, but if you see that Miriam is being elevated as a prophet, and we don't see that many times in the Torah. Like when we talk about Abraham, we don't say, oh, Abraham the prophet, or we know they're prophets, but they don't get the title. And Miriam here is getting a title, so what she's doing is very important.
Right. And the Torah acknowledges that. There was another. Oh, thank you.
My name is Richard Hoffman. Good morning. I hear in both of these statements a fact that each of us connects with God as we do. And we may connect with God through the words of our leaders, or we may connect with God through the words of the people with whom we're experiencing the moment. And by the emphasis on I and the emphasis on we, these statements create space for the reader or the hearer to feel free to connect in their own individual way.
Right. And this is, also when we pray, right? When we pray, we can pray individually, but we also pray as a minyan together. And I think that this is a really strong sense. And I would say it might not be a coincidence that Miriam says, let's all sing together, and she's looking at it from a community perspective. And I want to say something that when I look at our movement in Israel, the rabbis of the communities that I just mentioned to you were all women. Okay, the communities that were hurt the most were served by women rabbis, Israeli women rabbis. And they all came from an experience, a community experience that they even had before those wonderful women were even ordained. Because just to explain to you, in Israel, we have 140 ordained rabbi by the HUC in Jerusalem. We have an Israeli rabbinic program. And most of the Israelis who enroll to HUC, they look at it already as a second career. They're not, immediately after university, going to continue to rabbinical school. They, have their career, and then later on in life, they decide to become spiritual community leaders, and they enroll to HUC. So those particular women, one of them is actually a grandmother, Orit Rosenblit. She's a rabbi she established our congregation in Kiryat Shmona just 3 years ago, okay? It's a very, very young congregation. And she took upon herself, when she enrolled to HEC, she's a scholar, she was always teaching text and working within the communities in Israel. But once she became a spiritual leader, she had all these tools that she acquired throughout her life experience to be able to support her community. And one of the most beautiful things that Orit initiated, we asked her, Orit, how can we, when the residents of Kiryat Shmona returned just less than a year ago back to Kiryat Shmona, we asked Orit, what do you need from us? How can we help you to bring your community back together? And she said, you know, we want Torah. Because not only many of our communities don't have their own space, not all of them have their own Torah. How many Torahs you have here? 6, 7, 12? Rabbi, how many Torahs? 8, okay. So, Shmona, כמו קריית שמונה, maybe. So in Kiryat Shmona, they didn't have even one, and they asked for a Torah. And we had one of our supporters say, you know what? Instead of you getting a Torah from somewhere, why don't I help with the community writing a Torah? So actually, we have a scribe who's a Reform rabbi. His name is Shlomo Zagman, and he just finished writing the new Torah for the Kiryat Shmona congregation. And now, when the Torah will finally arrive to Kiryat Shmona, then they will feel, and the community will feel that they're back home. And we're now talking with the mayor about a space for the Torah for the community of Kiryat Shmona. So this is just one story about how our communities are coming back together. Yeah, Arnie? Yeah. Yes. Rabbi Gluck wants to, yes.
Thank you. I absolutely love that story, and I've met Orit, Rabbi Orit, and I think there's a wonderful connection between what she did and the Midrash about Miriam, because it wasn't just that somebody brought them a Sefer Torah. She involved them in a project of the writing so that they each had their own hand involved in the process. So it's like their voices were joined together, and it formed a process of healing. It's just not just to receive Torah, but the Torah that came to them and the Torah that came out from within them merged together, and that forms a healing for that community.
Right. Thank you. Nachon מאוד.
I'm Judy. Just a small thought. Miriam was the older sister. She had perhaps more perspective. She's the one that drew Moses out of the water to begin with. And so maybe she knew a little more than he did. He was going to sing, but she knew, and he didn't invite the others to sing with him. She knew a little more and brought all the others to him.
Thank you.
You know, I kind of, when I look at that experience, the differences between Moses and Miriam, to me it represents a necessary transition, a progression. And I think that her words were prophetic. Moses told us we had to have individual connection, and it was an opportunity for an individual connection with God. Miriam tells us, in order to go forward, to form a state of Israel, and to be a people, we have to do it together. And I think that the transition from an individual relationship to a communal relationship represents almost a prophetic kind of situation, and a necessary situation to form a community, to bring people together, and ultimately to form the state of Israel.
Right. And that actually, one last, and then I'm going to actually relate to what you said.
I think it can be together, meshed together, because it's a stronger communal relationship when the individual relationships within it are strong also.
Right. I totally agree. There's, and we talked about it when we were talking about individual prayer versus praying in a minyan. There's something strong about the individual connection with God, but also as a community. And you were talking about building the state of Israel, building, you know, the ancient Israel when they were passing and finally getting to the land of Israel. And there's a poem here, again, by the Israeli poet Yehuda Amichai, that is actually related to Jews in the land of Israel. So if anyone is willing to read out loud, that would be helpful for me. Yes.
Jews in the land of Israel?
Yeah.
Jews in the land of Israel. We forget where we came from. Our Jewish names from the exile give us away. Bring back the memory of flour and fruit, medieval cities, metals, knights who turned to stone, roses, spices whose scent drifted away, precious stones, lots of bread, handicrafts long gone from the world, the hands are gone too. Circumcision does it to us, as in the Bible story of Shechem and the sons of Jacob, so that we go on hurting all our lives. What are we doing coming back here with this pain? Our longings were drained together with the swamps. The desert blooms for us, and our children are beautiful. Even the wrecks of ships that sank on the way reached this shore. Even winds did, not all the sails. What are we doing in this dark land with its yellow shadows that pierce the eyes? Every now and then someone says, even after 40 or 50 years, the sun is killing me. What are we doing with these souls of mist, with these names, with our eyes of forest, with our beautiful children, with our thick blood? Spilled blood is not the roots of trees, but it's the closest thing to roots we have.
Oh, thank you. So what happens when we come to the land of Israel, right? We come to the land of Israel, but we need to think about all the stories that happened to us in the way, and all the customs that we brought from other countries, right? And it's a beautiful image. I think about it when I think about, we have many olim, many people that made aliyah, that immigrated to Israel in many of our congregations. But we're specifically have 3 congregations that we established for Jews that made aliyah from Russia and Ukraine. And especially in the past 3 years, there's still a war. The war in Israel, thank God, ended. The war between Russia and Ukraine is still going on. And so there are many Jews that made aliyah during that time from Russia and Ukraine. We have Russian-speaking Israeli ordained rabbis that are leading these congregations in Haifa, Ramat Gan, and Ashdod. And they come with all their memories. And I always used to think, how is it, like for them, it's even harder because they came from one war to another war, right? And they did it in the middle. Some of them made Aliyah in the middle of the war happening in Israel. So we don't want to forget all the connections and all the memories. And when Amichai asked, what are we doing in this dark land with this? I almost want to say to Amichai, well, don't forget that all these connections still exist. We still have a connection between Jews outside the land of Israel and the Jews inside the land of Israel. And we have programs, our movement has programs, a program that is called Domim, alike, where we connect Israeli congregations with congregations outside, with diaspora congregations outside of Israel, and it's really important for us. During the 2 years of war, one of the things that really strengthened us was actually the solidarity missions. You know, some of you came since October 23, and some of you have been, I mean the Jews from North America, Reform Jews from North America have been with us. You've visited our congregations, you've visited the kibbutzim that we were serving. You were with us singing at the Havdalah services at Hosted Square, and that gave us strength, and that gave us the power. I want to specifically ask you about the last words. Spilled blood is not the roots of trees, but it's the closest things to roots we have. It's a very, very strong sentence talking about spilled blood. Anyone wants to say anything about it? I don't know where the mic is, but I will, yeah. Oh, there's another one here. Anyone wants to relate? Thank you.
It's a very militant statement. Comparing trees which require water to countries which require blood. Very militant.
Yes, very, very militant. I agree. It speaks about the blood that was spilled, even in the last war, of the soldiers, the hostages, the people that were killed, and there's no beautiful way to relate to that.
I guess I didn't see the militancy aspect of it, but I think it is a very profound statement because the roots are permanent and they feed the tree and the blood mixes with the roots and that blood makes us a permanent part of that place. And to me, that really signifies our commitment and our attachment to our homes that we fight for, and to Israel. So I guess to me, there's kind of a feeling of permanency, of commitment, when blood, which is life, mixes with the roots, which are also life. So it's, it is poetic. It really is. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
Thank you. My name is Elena. I had the honor recently of being in Israel, I would say in August of 24, and I had the honor of walking on the Pilgrim Road before it was open to the public. The Pilgrim Road is in the city of David. It's now open, and you are allowed to see it. It's one of the most incredible experiences of my life. And on the Pilgrim Road, our guide wiped the wall, and there was ash from the burning of the temple in Jerusalem. And though there's no blood in that specific area, the Romans were very careful in how they destroyed us. But when I think of this spilled blood, I think of all of our people who died. and we're willing to fight, and that we can never forget them and the sacrifices and the fight that they had, and that they're a part of us, they're a part of our history, and that we go on not only for us in our future, but we have to always remember them. And standing on that road, connecting to my exact family who were Kohanim in that temple 2,000 years ago in the same spot they walked, reminds me of this line. And our connection to the past and the future, we must never forget.
Right. Thank you, Elena. Anyone else?
I love what you just shared, and I just want to take a second to say I serve on a committee for years where we grant to NGOs in Israel, women and children, and certainly post 10/7, the work has been profound, but it speaks, I love the way you've set up this whole study, the resilience and the blood. We have suffered and we have triumphed and we continue. And our imperfect Israel is our Israel. And we keep going and we keep helping and we keep coming together in Hostage Square, because even though we have our individual faith, we know collectively it is all about coming together and giving strength to one another. So for me, the blood is pride and resilience and acceptance of a history that is far from perfect, but we go on. So I think this was beautiful, this study.
Thank you. There was someone else, or, oh, okay, right here, and then we continue. Yes.
It just connects me to biblical times. Cain murdered Abel, and the land said, Hadamim korim li, the bloods. It was one person murdered. At that time, it was Abel, but the bloods are all of ours, whether today, 200 years ago, 3,000 years ago. It's the blood that connects us all.
Yeah, well, toda. Arnie, Achron, and we need to
So there's
move forward.
the blood here of the sacrifice, but there's also the blood of circumcision. And when we do a Brit Milah, we say, "B'damaye chayi, b'damaye chayi." By your blood shall you live. So blood can be representative of death, but blood is also life. Right. And here, I think that the message is that whatever tragedies, whatever struggles, whatever losses we've incurred, that ultimately, with our lifeblood, we seek to be redeemed. And I think that's the story of Israel and the story of the Jewish people. Tragedy has befallen us. We have had loss of life. We've had blood shed. We've never chosen it, but it's been chosen for us. But we've chosen to make that sacrifice an embracing of life. And that's our story. B'damayech chayi, by our blood, we choose life.
Wow. Thank you. Toda, Arnie. I totally agree that blood is not just a symbol of death, but it's also a symbol of life. And think about it, the image of the blood and the roots of the tree. What do we do in Israel? And sometimes when we want to remember someone, we plant a tree in the name, to honor the name of the person that we so miss. And I want to say that trees have a special role in life and in Judaism. And when we talk about mei mara, the bitter water that the Israelites encountered when they wanted to drink water, what does Moses do in order to enable them to drink the water? Yeah, he takes, and tree also represents Torah. Etz chaim, nachon. So Moses actually takes the tree and puts it in the water, and the water becomes drinkable. It doesn't say that the water becomes sweet. It says, it specifically makes the water drinkable, which also means that we don't always You know, life is not always sweet, but we can cope with it. So the tree becomes a mediator. And when I think about our movement, the work that we're doing, we're also doing the work of mediating, right? Making sure that Israelis, individuals who care about egalitarian Judaism and liberal Judaism have a place where they can express their own Jewish identity, especially Israelis who identify as secular Israelis. We were having a discussion yesterday what it means for Israelis to identify as secular. It doesn't mean that they don't live Jewish life, but it means that they don't necessarily identify their religiosity with the Orthodox, but they find their way through our movement, with our movement. Jeff, you wanted to?
Just quickly, I think it's that we mentioned trees because, of course, Monday's Tu B'Shvat, and the New Year, one of the New Years, so the New Year of the trees. And so I was doing research this week on Tu B'Shvat, and I learned something, or maybe I had known it before and forgotten, that Israel is the only country in the world that has more trees and tree coverage today than it did 100 years ago. And that's a tribute to that kind of will of continually building and planting and creating new life and sustaining life, not just for the trees, but it's necessary for us humans to have those trees.
Right.
So
That was very intentional, right? The planting of the trees in Israel. You know, being aware of the time, and Jeff, you mentioned Tu B'Shvat. So in Tu B'Shvat, we also, it's a way for us to appreciate nature. And there's a saying from Deuteronomy that says, "For a man is like a tree of the field. When you besiege a city for many days to wage war against it, to capture it, you shall not destroy its trees by wielding an axe against them, for you may eat from them, but you shall not cut them down. For man is like a tree of the field, to go into the siege before you. Ki Adam etz hasadeh." And I always remember that particular saying, Ki Adam etz hasadeh, for a man is like a tree, right before Tu B'Shvat. And there's a poem here that was translated to English by a very special poet, Israeli poet called Natan Zach. And he took that verse and he wrote a poem about that. I actually want to play it for you. But before even talking about, you know what, let's hear the song first and then I'll say a few words about it. I hope that I can put the mic close to it so you'll be able to hear it from my Spotify. Okay. בוא נראה. Can you hear? Follow the words in English. You have them here.
כי האדם עץ השדה, כמו האדם גם העץ צומח, כמו העץ האדם נגדע, ואני לא יודע איפה הייתי ואיך
conscience of our time, we're not going to hear through all of this beautiful song, but it's on Spotify, it's on YouTube. The interesting part about Natan Zach writing this poem, he used to say that the inspiration that he got for writing the poem about a man is like a tree is a specific tree that used to, a sycamore tree that used to be in Rabin Square. And that tree was cut down. So actually, Natan Zach, you have it here, as he published an Moda'at Evel, how do you say that, Arnie? An obituary, a death announcement about the tree, the sycamore tree that was cut down in Kikar Rabin, and you have the death announcement and the translation in the papers. The funny part, Natan Zach wrote this poem in 1982, right before the Shlom HaGalil war, the first Lebanon war. And he didn't write this poem and this song. Many times we play it on sad days when we want to remember people, because people are like trees. And he didn't, when he wrote it, that wasn't his intention. And when he was interviewed many years later, he said that he can't listen to this song anymore because he remembers, in particular, one time that he was walking in the streets of Tel Aviv on the way to his home, and he was hearing that song, and he got the feeling that something bad is going to happen. And when he finally arrived home, he heard that Prime Minister Rabin was assassinated. So he's like, I can't listen to the song, but this song is one of the most beautiful songs that was written, and Israelis love it. And we always study that song in Tu B'Shvat, because that's when we remember that a man is like the tree in the field. And as our study is coming to an end, and I'm happy to answer more questions about the IMPJ and the work that we're doing, I want us to remember that the idea of roots and the connection to the land of Israel and the connection that we share together is very strong. And I want to invite you to be more connected to us, to the IMPJ. We have some brochures here, and there's a sign-up sheets. I publish a weekly updates and weekly newsletters, so if you want to stay updated and get my own individual perspective on what's happening in Israel, then you're welcome to sign up. And I have a pen right here as well. And I think we're out of time, right? So תודה רבה. Shabbat Shalom. The sign-in. בבקשה. נשים את זה פה? Okay, great. Thank you. Thanks, Jeff. תודה. לא היה לי זמן.
לא, היה מעולה.
כן?